All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna bring into the stream Mr. Mike Hollow. He's backstage right now. Let's show him some love. Mike Hollow, what is going on, man? How you doing? Sorry for the long intro.
That's all right, man. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you on the right microphone, by the
I have
way?
no idea. I heard you mention that in the previous stream, but I've never used this thing before, so I'm not too sure.
Your videos, you just sound different. So I just feel like you might be picking up something else
Yeah,
compared to StreamYards.
yeah, it did sound different when I listened to it, but I just entered the chat like normal.
All right. I mean, you sound fine. It just doesn't sound like it just sounds like a little echoey, but I don't care. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. It's fine.
Yeah,
So what's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, man. It's 1:30 in the morning here in the UK, so trying to stay awake, but I was looking forward to this, so I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you coming to talk with me. I know it's late as hell for you, and like I said, I'm sorry for the long intro, but no. I tried to warn you,
No, it's all
but
good.
it is it is very late for you, so we're gonna respect your time and kind of just get right into it. So what we're gonna do is, I guess we could just start off. Maybe if you have anything you want to ask me or say to me, and then we can kind of go over your video after, or whatever way
Um,
you want to do it.
Well, I did watch your recent live stream where you reacted to the conversation I had with Smash JT and Ryan, and
Yeah.
I timestamped a couple of moments in there where I don't think you fully understood what I was talking about, or I don't know if you were like making light of it or like messing around with your chat, but some of it I feel like you took out. You either didn't listen because you said I think you said you were eating, but there were parts of it where like I'd like to go over and clarify, if that's okay with
Okay.
you. I'm not in any rush to like jump off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm down. Go for it.
All right. Do you want to start with mine or do you want to go over the video first?
No, start with yours. That's what I'm saying. We can start off with your whatever you have.
All right. So do you want to bring up the live stream just so you can make sure that I'm not like lying or anything, or do you want me to just go over it?
No, I believe you.
All right. Cool.
It's fine. I got a good memory. Good.
Yeah, so there was a couple of things that happened in the live stream that you reacted to. The first one that I noticed was that at the 32-minute mark, you were talking about Abubakah making everything about race, and then
Yeah.
you said, if he's making everything about race, why can't we make jokes about it? And later on in the stream, you went on to mention how people are soft when it comes to these sort of things, and I at no point said that people can't make jokes about it. I said to Ryan that it's a little bit of a weird place to make the joke, and that although Abu Bakr was speaking about race, he was speaking about something that was quite serious to him, about his dad passing. And so my comment was more centered around you can make jokes about it, but at the end of the day, it seems like a serious thing for him, and you guys are making fun of it. So you should probably understand why people would get annoyed.
I mean, we do understand why people will get annoyed, though. Like, I think the common misconception is that people getting mad over what we said is us. Like, we're freaking out over the fact that people are getting mad. Like, I don't care. Like, people are allowed to feel and say what they want to say regarding what they think we said or how they feel about what we said or whatever. That's perfectly fine. People are allowed to have their criticisms. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Right.
And
Okay.
in terms of his dad passing, you can't lead us, in my opinion anyway. Of course, this comes from just my personal belief. You can't start off something saying, "That's fine, you can make jokes, but," or you can do this, but you can't say you can do this and then put a but at the end because then that just means you really can't do that, right?
That's
Like,
not true.
or people feel like, yeah, it is because if you say, well, you can make a joke about that, but it's not the right time, that but means that you shouldn't make the joke then. But I believe you should be able to make a joke whenever you want, however you want,
No, I don't
and that
believe
doesn't
that.
mean that you're free from criticism, though. I want to make that very clear. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you're free from criticism, doesn't mean that you're free from backlash or people getting mad at you. Absolutely not. But if you're going to say you can make all jokes, then make all jokes. Otherwise, then you really can't. At least that's
No,
how I view it.
at no point have I ever said you can't make the jokes though. At no point during the live stream, because if I felt like you shouldn't, then or it should be something that should never happen. I would have mentioned that. But my point to Ryan and Smash was that you can make the joke if you want, but you can't tell people they're weak because they responded. What seems weak to me is saying things on a podcast and then trying to curate how people respond. That you should be willing to accept whatever rhetoric comes your way.
Well, I think you can say that people are weak if let's say it's a joke that's racially motivated, right? Or in that case, it's a joke that obviously is racially charged. I think you can call people weak when there are people that are in the chat who are of that skin color or who are of that background, and the majority of which did not find any offense to it whatsoever. Some of them found it to be funny. I've gotten jokes thrown at me as a Puerto Rican guy that other people might find offensive, racist, whatever. I laugh at it. I throw it off. I don't care. So yeah, I think you are allowed to have the opinion that some people are weak, that they can't handle certain words and let words have power over them to that magnitude. Doesn't mean that again the criticism can exist, but you can find somebody weak, in comparison to other people who don't find offense in what was said, at least to the level that was portrayed on Twitter, let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you were lumping me in with people on Twitter. When I was watching the video, I couldn't really tell whether you were putting me in
I
the
don't
same category as
lump
them.
No,
Sorry?
I don't lump you in. I don't lump you in with anybody. I talk to everybody separately.
And the other thing I want to say is that you did on this topic. You mentioned that people have made comments to you, and Ryan said things to you in private, and that if people saw the things Ryan was saying to you, that it would sort of dispel all of this. But I think there's a difference between friends talking to each other, or you and your community talking. Who, from the looks of it, you've built up like quite a rapport and a level of trust with them, versus complete strangers talking to you. Because I'm sure you can probably appreciate you and Ryan could be out and he could call you all manner of offensive language, but because you're friends, you're not going to take any offense. But if a complete randomer turned around to you and just started saying it to you, you'd probably look at them sideways.
I'd honestly laugh in their face.
All right, but as a general thing, you can understand why human beings react that way.
I can, and I never said that I can't. But what I'm telling you is that I can have the mindset of I can view other people as a little bit softer or weaker, considering that they'll let words like that have power over them. Especially when it gets to the point of wanting to act physically. That's where I say, okay, that's a little bit weak in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the physicality part of that that was my mistake. I didn't speak about that the way I should have. Obviously, that's an element of it. It's reality that if you say things to people in person, that something might happen. But what I was trying to get at is that that's just not how people speak. People do not do that in person. It just doesn't happen.
Some people do, and it does lead to fights and whatnot.
In
It does
general, though.
happen. If you ever been in a bar where people get drunk off their ass and things get a little bit heated and people say dumb shit,
Hmm.
before you know it, you got a little bit of a brawl going on.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that what was said is going to suddenly disappear, or you're going to try to suppress someone's thoughts or jokes or whatever through physicality. Because the main thing I disagree with you there with the constantly bringing up of would you say it in someone's face. The main issue I have with that is that by threatening someone physically, or saying that, well, would you say it to someone's face? That doesn't mean anything to me because ultimately the person clearly wants to say it. And by threatening them and being physical with them, or saying that you might be, not by you, I'm just saying in general, but like if people say they want to be physical in general, that's not going to make what someone thinks goes away. If anything, you're going to radicalize them even more. And sure, Ryan might get his ass kicked by 10 black guys. It's not going to change how he thinks. It's not going to make him say, oh, you know what, shit. All it's gonna say is, you know what? I just got beat up by 10 fucking black guys,
Hmm.
and I was genuinely just joking. You know what? Fuck them. Don't
Yeah,
even
but
now. I really.
I never said that it would change how he thinks. I was just trying to explain to him that that's just the reality of life. Like if you do those
Well,
things outside, those things will happen to you. It's not that I would beat him up or that I'm advocating for anyone to. That's just how life is.
Right, and I understand that. Like everybody knows, like if you say certain things in real life to certain people, there is a chance that you might get a certain response for that. There's no doubt about it, but that doesn't mean that he shouldn't have the right to say certain things.
It's
That's
no, it
basically it.
doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to say it. He has the right to say it. Like I'd said to him in the conversation, he can say it. He just needs to know
But if that's
what
the
might
case,
come his way.
why constantly bring up will he say it to someone's face? Because that doesn't if he has the right to say it, right?
Mm.
There's no reason to bring up why would you say that to someone's face? That means absolutely nothing to the conversation
No, it
over,
does
over whether
actually.
or not it doesn't.
The reason that it means something is that if Ryan was making a controversial talking point, like I watched your video about Mortal Kombat 1 and Cyrax, and you lot were commenting on Cyrax and Wakanda. And I thought that was completely valid because we've seen that style of black character portrayed everywhere, and it's annoying. It irritates
Right, it's a
everyone.
stereotype, yeah.
Yeah, and you lot were making legitimate points. It's an annoying stereotype. That hairstyle, the Killmonger hairstyle, has been overdone. And in that conversation, even though jokes were being made, in the context of that conversation, it made complete sense, and the arguments you put forward were completely valid. In Ryan's case, Ryan, I actually went through your live streams because I heard you make the comment that it's impossible to miss the jokes. The first time I did miss the jokes, I probably didn't watch enough. So today I sat around watching some. I came across the jokes, but again, Ryan doesn't make any controversial statements that moves the conversation forward. Ryan just blurts out racist shit. So it's completely different to challenging people and saying controversial things that might upset black people than just coming out of random dumb shit.
Well, it's not that he just targets specifically black people either. Like, let's be
No, no,
clear,
he doesn't.
Ryan.
I
And
heard him
again,
say multiple things.
I'm not like defending him. He could talk. He could defend himself. You already obviously spoke to him. But what I'm saying is, he's made jokes about other races.
Mm.
But nobody ever seems to care about those, which again I find ironic, and it's the consistency that bothers me the most about people's arguments. But overall, when Ryan says certain things, Ryan has the comedic effect of a fucking edgy 10-year-old kid. Let's just put
I
it like that.
realized.
And we have very, very, very blatantly made fun of him multiple times for his terrible sense of humor. And out of the 10 jokes he says, one will potentially land
Mm.
if he's lucky. It's kind of the reason why we have the drum sound to begin with on the stream, by the way, was specifically for Ryan and his terrible jokes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even if we don't find him funny, or maybe we did find it funny, if other people didn't find it funny, he still has the right to say them. And to call him racist, I find it ironic that the people, and not just, it's not you, it's more so people on Twitter, but the people who are calling Ryan racist, I find it incredible because they're content creators that I look through some of their streams. They never once had a black content creator on their stream at all. And yet Ryan has had multiple and showcased them on stream and had conversations with them on stream and showcased them as rising stars and everything. So I just find it a little bit odd, to
I
throw
don't.
the claims out there.
I can't speak for other content creators. I can only speak for myself.
Right.
I
That's why I said it's not you I'm talking about. It's just consistency in general.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lack of consistency across the board with a lot of things. But Ryan made a comment, and I don't know if you lumped me in again, so I'm just trying to get clarification.
Sure, go
Um,
ahead.
at the 36-minute mark, he made a comment saying that originally it was you and Smash JT that was targeted with what happened when Ryan made those comments. And you paused there and you said facts, and they wouldn't have cared. It was only after Ryan made a statement. But I didn't know if you were putting me in there because I very clearly targeted Ryan specifically. It was
Oh no.
only Sammy, like a very minor moment. It was mostly Ryan that I was talking about.
No. So Ryan was talking about the overall backlash on Twitter, and I was responding to that overall backlash on Twitter. So like the stuff that was happening on Twitter,
Yeah.
people took it as an opportunity to come after me because, truth be told, that's who they really want to go after. They want to go after me and Smash JT. They don't give a fuck about anybody else, to be real with you. They're not going to go after Atreus. He's black. They don't care. They're not going to go after fucking Grums because Grums is already hated. He doesn't care, and he's not a permanent member. So they're already trying to do what they want to do with Grums. Will the fans, he's a smaller creator, they're not going to go after him. Truth be told, they're going to go after me and Smash, which is exactly what they did until Ryan decided to make a statement owning his comments on the show as him and himself. And truthfully, even after he made that comment, people still chose to go after me anyway, because again, that's just how it works, right? And people have the right to be mad. It's okay. People have the right to say what they want to say, but let's not pretend like they didn't try to take it as an opportunity to weaponize, against somebody they've been trying to take down for, I don't know, fucking year or more now.
Yeah. Again, I can't speak for them. I was just trying to get clarification if you were lumping me in with them. I don't know. I'm not paying
Not
attention
at
to what
all.
other people are doing. I was just trying to get my point across.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, not at all. He was talking about Twitter in general, so I was talking about Twitter in general at the time.
Okay, no, that's fine. There was another moment where Ryan very clearly said that he does not take this situation seriously. And when I asked him again, he referred to his own content when it comes to DEI. And you responded by saying that I was being a bit unfair there because he wasn't talking about all of his content. But I went back and listened to it twice. He was talking about his content. He wasn't talking about the Rising Star stuff. He was talking specifically that he doesn't find any of this to be serious and that when he jumps on these shows, it's just having a bit of a laugh. So when I called him and his content a joke, I think I was valid in saying that. But you seem to think that I was pulling at straws and I was taking it out of context.
Well, because I think when he says he doesn't take it seriously, I think he means from a career standpoint or just overall, like actually doing YouTube for any sizable gain or monetary gain or anything. He's just the kind of guy that just goes on YouTube and talks his shit. You could say for fun, or I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know because again, Ryan can only speak for himself. But from the looks of it, I've always taken it as the guy who likes to go on YouTube and just talk with people. I don't think he talks to a lot of people in real life, to be honest with you. So he tends to go online and his entire spiel and how I met him was he focuses on highlighting creators of all different kinds
Yeah.
and tries to showcase them in like his rising star videos or rising star who made it or whatever. So that's what he likes to do, and he just likes to talk to people. Is he an edgelord? Absolutely, we all know this. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. But again, he has the right to be an edgelord if he wants to, no matter how fucking cringy it is. That's his right.
Yeah, like I said, he does have a right to do it, but for as long as he does do it, he should expect some level of backlash. I don't think anyone that I've spoken to has said they want Ryan taken down. I don't know who the people are that are trying to take you down or Ryan, but everyone that had reached
Well,
out
they
to me
they
before,
tried and they failed, so it's
yeah,
okay.
evidently, but the people I've spoken to have said we don't want Hypnotic gone. It's just that if someone says something on the show, we have a right to respond. I don't think anyone's weak for saying what they want to say in response to it. I would
I
agree that it would be a bit ridiculous to beat Ryan up for it, but the reason that I kept on reinforcing that is because it's just a reality of the world. That's just the way the world works. And when I said that, I wasn't saying it as in, again, Ryan makes a controversial remark and someone kicks his ass. I was saying it as in, you don't walk up to people and say, back to you, Darky. Like, that's just not something that would come out of his mouth in real life. That's just nonsense. And that's why I called him a keyboard warrior. That's not how people talk.
well, so dude, did you see the part in my stream where I said that I believe that Ryan would not say that in real life? Did
I
you see
did.
that
I
part?
was laughing when you said that.
Yeah. So I just want to make it clear. I don't believe Ryan would say it in real life either. However, if he did, that's his choice. You know, maybe he is crazy enough to do that, and that's okay. But in terms of what you were saying, like in people's responses and whatnot, they're fully capable of responding the way that they want to. And me calling them weak doesn't mean that I'm saying they can't respond in the way that they are. What I'm saying is I think it's weak that to let a word or words have such a level of control over you. I've always been that way. I've always thought that way. I've never let a single word ever in the English language have control over me to the point where people who react with their emotions made it to the level that they did when all of this went down on Twitter or whatever. And again, that's me. People are allowed to have their own levels of emotions, if you want to call it, right? But at the end of the day, I always viewed it as weak to let that happen. And again, maybe that's just because I grew up at a time, things are different. Obviously I'm a little bit older than most, but I'm not like a fucking ancient creature. But I'm older than most, so I've seen the world back when it wasn't sensitive, and I've seen the world now that it is sensitive, and I can clearly see it is sensitivity leading a lot of people's forefront and their thoughts.
Yeah.
That's how it is. it's
No.
just it's just the way the world works. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to shy away, and that doesn't mean that other people should shy away either. If they are a little bit more of the aggressive type, then so be it. I've always said that I am a little bit more of the aggressive type. That's just always how I've been. Not many people are like that, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that you're going to try to take my right away to be that way, just because you can't handle certain things that are said. And again, not you in general. I'm just talking about people, the people that responded to everything.
Yeah.
And I
No.
and I got to be honest with you. When I saw your video, I thought that these particular comments from Ryan, it felt like it was taken from a personal standpoint. I don't know if that was the case, but that's how it viewed. Not that Ryan was targeting you specifically, but I just feel like you were personally affected by what was said in a way that other people probably weren't, and that's kind of what led to the response being the way it was.
I wasn't personally affected by it. I just thought it was fair to point out because I've pointed out multiple times, and I know that Endymion has as well, when Sweet Baby Inc. makes racist comments about white people. And I've seen the responses from people that
Hmm.
watch content creators such as yourself or The Quartering or
Hmm.
people in that space who are very, very like annoyed at the things they say. And these are the same people that would say black people are weak for responding the way Ryan did. And to me, it was like, this seems like a bit of hypocrisy, especially someone that operates in the space that you guys do. I'm very much against DEI as well. I
Right.
saw it and I was like, you can't really sit there. Maybe not you yourself, because in the initial video, I wasn't really targeting you. I was targeting Ryan. But you can't really sit there and act like people in this space have not gotten angry at Sweet Baby Inc. for the racist remarks they've made about white people. I know they have. I'm on Twitter. I've seen them. But the minute it was on the other foot and it was somebody that is in the same space, it was a bit like, oh, why are they getting upset? They're so weak. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I can
So
literally see the comments on Twitter.
Okay, so can we acknowledge the difference between the two in the sense that Ryan is one lone autistic retard on a stream filled with 8 people, whereas Sweet Baby Inc. actually go, and by the way, Ryan doesn't really say much on Twitter, not to my knowledge anyway,
Mm.
aside from hello all, my show is XY anyway. So with Sweet Baby Inc., when they make those remarks, they're making, and it's not just SBI too, it's a lot of people that were attached to SBI in the past or have an affiliation of some kind. I think one of the most famous ones is probably Danny Lalonde's, which I think you're are you familiar
Yeah, I know who that
with
is.
Dan? Yeah, so the difference between somebody like Ryan and somebody like Danny Lalonde's is that Danny Lalonde's, when they're making comments about white people, they actually say we are excluding white people. I made this studio and I'm excluding white people because the only way I can feel safe is when I'm surrounded by people that look just like me.
I saw that.
Whereas Ryan, somebody who makes a dumbass racist joke, has platformed black people on his stream multiple times and showcased that he is in fact able to not only have a conversation but showcase people who don't look like him every single day. So there's a big difference between the two, in my opinion, which is why I don't view them to be the same. Because Ryan has showcased that even though he makes dumbass fucking racial charged jokes, at the end of the day, he will platform, he will talk to, and he will showcase people who aren't just fucking white supremacists. Whereas Sweet Baby Inc. and other people like them, they clearly don't want to do that. Their
I
goal is
don't
completely different, and they're very strong with their goal, and they've made it very obvious.
I don't think that's entirely true because Sweet Baby Inc.
Why
does
is that?
align with companies like IGN and Kotaku and people that will serve them, and they do platform people or they will communicate and hoist up people like Alyssa McCante. I can't remember some of the white people in this, all of their names, some of the white people in this space, but they
Right.
do
But
definitely platform them. My problem with Ryan is that Ryan is operating in a space where we are pushing back against DEI, and a lot of the time when you hear people talking about people that are against it, they refer to them as racists and they refer to them as people that are, just grifting. They're trying to latch onto something to push their own racist ideas. So when Ryan is making those comments, it doesn't really help the conversation. So you're right that it's not the same. They are different, but it's I wouldn't say it's a good thing, especially when you're constantly making videos about why this is bad and why that is bad. And they're on Twitter saying, you guys are a bunch of racists. And then you got Ryan there, not adding anything to the conversation, just spouting nonsense.
so just in the first, because I wanted to make a comment about the first thing. So them platforming certain white people who are literal activists, like people who think like them, speak like them, talk like them. Yeah, they're the only white people that get any airtime. You think they're going to platform people that are like us or Ryan Rogerathe, who thinks differently than them? Then they're going to platform that kind of white person? No, it doesn't matter if they platform white people who think like them. It's essentially the same fucking thing. What I'm saying is Ryan has showcased people that may not necessarily think like him or have kind of, politics or ideologies like him, but will look differently from him. He even did it today, I believe, with this Puerto Rican guy who I didn't even know existed until I saw his stream today. But the point is, he will showcase people that don't think like him, whereas SBI will just make sure that they showcase the right mind think kind of white person. So in essence, it doesn't fucking matter to me. Like that doesn't mean anything. In terms of the second comment, I don't think Ryan or again myself or anybody says, "Oh, we're the face of GamerGate." Like I think other people try to put that on top of maybe me and Smash, but I don't think anybody's ever said that we're the face of anything. If Ryan wants to make a joke, Ryan can make a joke and he can get
Mm.
the backlash for that joke, whatever that may be. But I don't think he's running around trying to say that he's the face of anything and that he needs to represent anything. At the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is have a conversation, have my show, make my jokes, play my games, and talk about the issues at hand. And just because we make jokes every now and then doesn't mean that the issues don't exist, or it
Yeah,
doesn't mean that the conversation around it gets devalued because why we're not professional 24/7. One question I do have for you, if you don't mind giving me some context,
yeah.
is that at the beginning of your video, you had mentioned that Ryan, and I don't know if you were saying me at the time too. I think you were, but I'm not sure. Maybe you could give me context. That we're just trying to pass everything off as jokes, as jokes, as jokes, and then you said we're not comedians. So my question is, do you have to be a comedian in order to be able to tell a joke?
No, you don't have to be a comedian to tell a joke, but I do think that there are times and places for things. I know some people don't believe that. They don't, I'm not the arbiter of of that truth or anything like that. You can make a joke, but I can look at it and be like, bad, like wrong timing, bad place, wrong time. I when I say you're not a comedian, I'm talking in the sense that I mean, obviously, you guys are not comedians. You can make jokes, but if someone's talking about something that is serious and the situation is perceived as serious, I'm under that assumption anyway. It seems to be more of a joke to people now, from what I've seen from comments that I got. But I'm under the assumption that people treat DEI invading pop culture as a serious thing amongst gamers. But if it's not, then I don't know what to say. But from what I could see, the reason that you do your shows is to shed light on a lot of the bad practices in the industry. So you can make jokes, but I think you would agree that there's probably a situation in your life where at some point where someone's made a joke and you've been like, is now the time? That was the point for me. So when I said that, I was like, yeah, this is not the time and place to be making a joke, in my opinion. But I'm not God, you can do it if you want.
No, I understand that, but when you're saying that there's a time and place, and what we're talking about is serious, can we not joke about serious things?
You can joke about serious things, but not as an absolute. Well, you can. Again, I'm not in control of what you say, but in my opinion, in that particular situation with Abubakah, again, it wasn't even you. You didn't even make the joke. It was
I know,
Brian.
but
And
I understand the mindset as to behind why it happened.
yeah,
So if that's not the right time, when would be the right time?
in Abubakah's case, probably
And no, in our case, like when would be the right time to make that joke? Let's say we wanted to make the joke,
which
and
joke?
you're saying all the jokes we said at the stream relating to his father, his race, all that stuff. When would be the right time if that's not the right time?
I don't think making jokes about his dad is the right time, or his race at all. I don't. Why would you? What I don't understand.
Okay, so you said that you can make the jokes, it's just not the right time.
No, you can make the
So
jokes as in I'm not in charge of who says what. But in my opinion, I wouldn't be going down that road, period. It's just my
so
opinion.
why is it a bad thing to make light and joke about race when someone is talking at the topic of their race at the beginning of a video that's 5 minutes long for the first 2.5, 3 minutes? Why is it not like allowed? Like the man led the
I never
video,
said
the
it's not
reaction,
allowed.
the initial reaction video.
I never said it's not allowed. I'm just saying from my opinion, from my standpoint, he opened the video talking about how he feels attacked for being black. So he wasn't making light of it. He was trying to shed light on the fact that he thinks it's serious. And then you guys made a joke of it. Like I said, you can make the joke. I'm not in charge of what you guys do, but it does seem a little misplaced when he feels like he's being attacked for being black, and then he opens up a stream to see a bunch of strangers from his perspective. And I spoke to Abubakah that he's being attacked
I
for
did
being
too, by
black.
the way.
Yeah, I know you spoke to him. Obviously he didn't appreciate it. It's also touchy because his dad's passed away. I know on the internet people make light of things. I went into your stream chat afterwards. I saw what people were saying. I know people make jokes of everything, but for like if I was talking to you man to man, I'd say to him, bro, his dad's died. Like, can you guys just give it a rest? That's what I would say to you.
Well, his dad didn't just die. His dad had died before. Not that it matters, but it wasn't like his dad died the day before his game came out. You know
Mm.
what I mean? But
He's
still,
clearly upset about it though, and I do understand. I understand the whole comedy point you're trying to make. It's just, in my opinion, I think like I can't see what the chat's saying right now because I'm just looking at a blank screen. But from what I understood, they took issue of the fact that like I was either being boring or unfun, and I understand where they're coming from because the internet can be a lot of jokes. But if I'm talking to you man to man, if I was talking to you alone, I'd say to you, Hypnotic, like the guy's dad's dead. He's clearly mourning him. I get that we make light of a lot of things, but it's another thing where like if he was standing right there next to you, would you make light of his dad? Not because he's gonna beat you up, but it seems a little bit inhuman to do that.
I mean, my dad's dead.
All right, so nothing's off limits for you then.
That's what I'm saying, because if you have an ideology, right, or not you, but me, like I have an ideology, you could joke about anything, right? The
Mm,
whole like, oh, it's serious, right? I understand that. I get that. There are some people that can't make a joke about a serious thing. Totally get it.
yeah.
But if that's the case, then why is it that on TikTok you see all these cancer patients making jokes about fucking having cancer? It's the same thing, bro. People make fun of serious things all the time, and laughter is how people cope with certain things. We're talking about serious things all the time. I do take it serious. As a person of color, I can't stand the DEI shit, right? That,
Yeah.
that it's all superficial, fake ass diversity. That it's all performative, and it's white liberals to try to utilize it for whatever their cause may be. That's my belief. But even though I'm talking about something serious, at the end of the day, I need to make jokes of it. I need to laugh about it, because if you don't laugh about it, if you don't make jokes about it, you're just gonna end up going down a fucking rabbit hole of just complete utter misery.
That's
And
not
that's
true.
not that's how it
I'm
is
a
for some
pretty happy
people.
person, but I can draw a line in some places. Like the cancer joke analogy you used. Yeah, cancer patients might be making jokes at themselves, but I'm not sure they don't completely appreciate a bunch of strangers ripping into them. Maybe some people would,
There's comments to it all the time, bro.
but maybe
People are
some
totally
people
fine with it.
would. But you could probably understand that if there was a random cancer patient on there making light of themselves, then you did it as well. You'd not be surprised if they said, "Hey, you're not me. You know, don't take the piss out of me." Do
If
you
you
not
say
understand
so.
that?
But yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the comments literally say otherwise on a lot of those videos.
I know,
But
I
you have
agree
the
with you. I know what videos you're talking about. I've seen videos of people making light of it. I get where you're coming from. I'm just saying, obviously, Abubakah did not appreciate it, and I'm not saying you even have to care, but you can understand why people would look at that and be like, that seems a little bit like low ball. You can do what you want on your stream. I'm not telling anyone what to do. People can say whatever they want about me. It doesn't bother me that much, but I can also might have my opinion on that. Like if my mum was
Of
sick
course.
and you guys were making jokes about it, I'd get pissed. You know, like that's a normal human reaction. I don't find it funny.
So can you at least adhere to the idea that the reason why certain jokes are being made is because there is a lack of trust in the scenario that this was all taking place, in the sense of Abubakar Salim, not only did he lie multiple times about
Yeah.
his game, about his studio, caught in those lies, end up having to fire everybody, all the kind of nonsense. Can you understand that after all of that, when we then look back and we see certain videos, we understand, oh, wow, this might seem pretty performative considering the man was lying about XYZ multiple times. Can we understand that maybe it seems like a little bit performative now that we actually look at it a second time and break it down? Because that's not the first time we reacted to that video. That was probably like the fifth time. And we haven't done it for months because this game came out like 4 or 5 months ago. So now that we look at it a second time or a third time and we understand a lot more this time, we're like, this man is racially grifting, bro. You could clearly see like he's trying to utilize racial conversation to try to either shield his game from criticism or try to blame something that wasn't actually the cause for his game being the way it was, which is what I've said in my videos multiple times, even all the way back to 4 or 5 months ago. Race was never brought up. The one thing that killed his game and the only thing that killed his game was SBI's involvement, unfortunately for him. And that's what I've always said. And at the end of the day, you could call us racist all you want. I played the game. They didn't play the game. I did.
Yeah.
So again, I that's why, like, when you look at it back again and you understand, okay, this is the fifth or fourth time we are looking at this video. Now I can see where the performance comes into play a little bit. Not that
Mm,
what he's saying about his dad is not true,
mm,
because it is. Clearly his father's not around, but you can see where the performance and utilizing that and weaponizing that can come into play when you're on an award show supposed to be talking about your game, and instead you're talking about your dad. So
yeah.
again, the performance thing, and that's why we make, instead of just calling him a flat out fucking liar,
Yeah.
right? Because we could have. We're just like, you know what? Just fucking crack a joke or two, whatever. We got to laugh at it, but we can
Yeah.
see the performance, at least part of it, anyway.
But I already responded to this to Smash JT. I said this. I said to him that putting forward that argument is a fair argument, based on everything that's happened. So I'm not against that sentiment at all. I was just against the jokes.
Right, and I think that's where the difference in ideology comes into play, because I'm not against any joke, and you're against some jokes, and that's okay. You're allowed to be against some jokes. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. So it's
Was there another point you wanted to reference before, unless you had something else you wanted to say on it?
Was there anything else you had before we move on? I want to make sure we get through your. I want to give you the time. That's why.
Yeah, like I don't want to go through every single point, but do want to talk about the ones that I wanted to bring up to you. There was a
Yeah.
point in it at around the 44, 54 minute mark where you brought up, well, I mentioned locker room talk and you took issue with that. And I wanted to bring it up to you because I completely disagreed with what you said.
Okay.
You said, miss me of that bullshit in regards to people can say stuff behind closed doors, but they can't say it in public. And I found that a little bit weird because I think you can probably appreciate that the rapport and the relationship you have with people gives it affords you certain freedoms with them that you wouldn't get with someone like me who you don't know. And I didn't really understand how you said you were like, miss me of that bullshit. Like I can talk to my Spanish friend, for example, and he can say all manner of things to me, but I know him, I know his family, but you don't know me, and you saying it to me would make it would be a sort of thing where you say those things behind closed doors. You don't really say it to a stranger, or you say it out in public, and then be surprised when the reaction is a little bit visceral.
Well, again, I'm not surprised at the reaction, number one. And number two, when I was talking about miss me with that bullshit, what I was saying is that people are trying to take a moral grand stance on Twitter, trying to talk about what they heard was the most evil thing they ever heard in their entire life. And they're freaking out and they're trying to do whatever they're trying to do with it. When I said miss me with that bullshit, I'm talking about the fact that people were trying to say, well, that's clearly locker room talking. You shouldn't have it publicly. And my thing was, okay, well, miss me with that because you're basically saying that it's okay to be racist behind closed doors because you're calling this racist. You're saying that the statement was racist. So you're saying that it's okay to be racist behind closed doors as long as you don't talk about it publicly.
Hmm.
But the moment you talk about it publicly, suddenly, well, that's it. That's where we're supposed to draw the line. But just keep your racism to yourself. Like, no, bro. First off, we're not racist, which is why we joke like that publicly because we know who we are, just like you know who your Spanish friend is, right? So we know who we are. We know we joke around, we have our conversations, and our viewers know exactly who we are too. We have one of the most actual, organic, diverse panels on YouTube talking about in pop culture right now, where all kinds of motherfuckers show up on this stream. And that's fine because again, it's all organic. I don't really give a shit. I don't go based off someone's skin color. I go based off whether or not they can provide anything to the conversation. That's really the most important thing to me. And Ryan, when he talks and actually conversates, he actually does add some stuff to the conversation. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't really get a lot of words in because he's a little bit more passive. And he decides to try to be one of your, those kids and says something edgy to try to get everyone's attention and then talk. Like, nah, bro, just talk. But again, that's him. So for me, like I said, I'm I don't believe that shit. I don't believe that. Oh, because that's how people are trying to act. You could be racist behind closed doors, totally fine. Just don't say it publicly. No, fuck that shit. Because if somebody's actually racist, wouldn't you want to know that?
Don't you think
That's
intent
why I said
matters?
miss me with that nonsense. What was that?
Don't you think intent matters though? You can say the same thing to the
Of
same
course,
two
intent
different people,
matters.
but the intentions are different.
Of course, intent matters. But you, as a stranger who doesn't know Ryan, how can you know the intent?
I know the intent on the spear chucker thing because he laughed at it, and I know you said you hadn't heard of it before, and I know you referenced that other cultures throw spears, but Ryan made that comment and started laughing. He knew what he was doing, even if you guys don't agree. It was very obvious. I don't. Why else would he laugh?
I mean, he's looking at a game where the literal main character Chuck Spears
Yeah,
and
but
is a black male.
Hypnotic, come on, man.
But I'm
We know
telling you,
what he
he
was doing
made the
there.
joke. So time out, time out. He didn't say Abubakar Salim is a cheer. Jesus Christ, a spear chucker. He didn't say that.
Mm.
He said that it should be called instead of Surgeon Studios, Spear Chucker Studios. That's what he said.
And then
So
giggled
why would
away.
that? What was that?
And then giggled away because he knew that he was
I
going to
mean,
get
he's
a
not.
rise out of people with that.
Is he not allowed to make that joke?
No, he's allowed to make it. Dude, at no point have I ever said you guys can't do anything. I've never said that. You can say whatever you want. I'm just pointing it out. I'm not for censorship. I know I went into your stream chat. I know your chat seemed very confused at my stances. I'm not against censorship. They can call me whatever
Well,
they want.
because
You can.
the
I'm not against it.
the reason why people are probably confused is because a lot of the conversation that's happening around what Ryan said, it's coming from people who say, and again, I don't know if you ever said this. If you did, you can tie yourself in, whatever. A lot of these people are saying, I'm against censorship. I'm for free speech. I think you could joke about anything. But, and then after the but, they throw in the fact that they think Ryan's racist or whatever. He shouldn't have said it. Time and place, blah, blah, blah. They throw all these asterisks to things that shouldn't have asterisks. Right, you can't have free speech and then have an asterisk. I'm not saying that you can't be free from consequences. That's different. That's a different conversation. But a free speech, you can't throw an asterisk. Say, well, you have free speech, but you can't say this.
But isn't
You have
this the
free speech, but you can't say
consequence?
that. It
This
is the
is
consequence.
yeah. So if he's not free from consequences, then what's the problem? It's not really an
The problem,
asterisk. It's just the reality.
the problem is that even though you don't find a problem with it, a lot of people are trying to weaponize it and then utilize it to get someone removed who didn't even say it. That's the issue.
I'm only speaking to you about me. I can't speak for everybody else. I can't talk on what people have been saying to you. I can only
So
speak
then my
about
issue is,
you
so
and your
if
stream chat.
so then what is your personal issue with it then? What made you want to make two videos on it to the point
The
where like,
hypocrisy,
we're here now?
the hypocrisy
Wh-
of the whole
What's
situation.
hypocritical about it?
The amount of talking that we've done about Sweet Baby Inc. and other narrative studios and the way the culture has moved and then making those remarks in a situation that I perceive to be serious. I don't think I'm not against no I'm against people trying to take your channel down. I don't think they should take your channel down, but I also think they can critique it. I don't think people just need to
Of
sit
course.
idly by just because they believe in free speech and be like, just
I
keep
don't
it
expect
moving.
to.
Yeah.
Well, let's be real. A lot of the people reacting to this don't believe in free speech. Let's just be honest about it. That's just how it goes. You might, but a lot of people don't. That's just the name of the game. And they saw an opportunity to weaponize it because, truth be told, and I've always said this, Atreus wasn't there. If Atreus was there, this would have never happened. Truth be
Mm.
told. This would have never fucking happened. You probably never would have saw a clip. Just being real with you, unless you watch the streams, which I don't know if you do, but
Every now
you
and
never
then.
would have saw a clip. It never would have went on Twitter, and it never would have been a conversation because Atreus would have been on the stream, and they can't say shit. But because Atreus wasn't there that one day, now all of a sudden everybody wants to pretend like they're upset over a joke about a black guy. Meanwhile, we have multiple jokes about multiple races every single stream. Which again, I don't know if you watched the streams before, but nobody's ever clipped that. Gee,
I
I wonder why.
I went back and watched the streams. Like I said before, Ryan makes a lot of offhand comments that I can't even understand why he would do it. This is the one
True.
that just picked up steam. I've gone onto his channel. Uh, I'm not throwing shade at him. It's just his channel hasn't blown up yet, so that's probably why a lot of his stuff has gone under the radar. But if he blew up overnight, I'm sure a lot of his comments will get clipped out. So this was just the first one. It has to start somewhere, right?
You don't think it's odd that it was this particular one? You don't think it's weird the setup to this one?
By that, do you mean people have been watching and waiting?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but you don't think it's odd that this is the one stream where our black panelist is not on and nobody else that you can see anyway of color is on the screen, and all of a sudden now it looks like there are 6 white people on screen who are making jokes about a black guy, and that's the one that gets clipped
I
out of
think
the out of the 112 episodes prior.
No, I don't think it's odd. I think it makes perfect sense. It might not be fair because Atreus wasn't there, and so he's done this before in front of Atreus. But I think it makes sense if people go and look at a podcast and it's just a bunch of people and there's no black dudes there and they see racist remarks. Let's say it's their first time looking at your stream, then they're gonna be
Right.
like, "What the hell's going on here?" Even if it's unfair, it's not surprising at all.
Out of curiosity, just have a random question because I asked this of I think Ginger Prime too.
Hmm.
Um, is that term racist?
What's
Spear chucker? Is that racist?
Yeah, it's the intent is Ryan used it in an intentionally racist way,
I'm
and it's
not talking
been
about the
used
intent.
before.
I'm talking about the term. Like, is the term racist?
Yeah, the term's racist.
So if a black person calls another black person spear chucker, that's racist.
No, African Americans have used it to talk about other Africans, as in like they're lower class. So I don't know what word you would use. I guess
But is that racist though?
no, it wouldn't because they're the same race.
But the term itself is racist.
Yeah,
The term, it's a racist term.
yeah, when it was
So
originally used, it was used to describe primitive black people in Africa. So when they were using it originally, they were using it to be racist. When black people in America started using it, they were using it differently. It was used in
but
two
but
different
a
contexts.
term being racist is racist regardless of who uses the term
No,
and its
words
intent.
change
It's a
meaning
racist
depending.
term.
No, not at all.
No, a
Words
slur is
change
a
meaning.
slur.
No, that's not true. Because when girls call
Yes,
each
it
other
is.
bitches, they're not saying it in the same
Bitch is not a
derogatory.
slur. Bitch, it's not a slur.
No,
It's
I'm
not a slur
saying
to a group of people or
I'm.
anything like that. What I'm saying is like, okay, when black people drop the N bomb to other black people,
Mm,
is the N bomb a racist term?
no, it's because yeah, the N bomb is a racist term, but when they use it
Right.
amongst each other, which I don't agree with, by the way, I don't use the N bomb at all. I don't like it, but uh, the way that they use it is they use it as a way of endearment, even though I don't agree with that. When a white person uses it because of, or any other race uses it, they see it as racist because of its origin. So you can take the same word and you can have two different types of people use it, and the outcome be different.
Right. So that's where I find the hypocrisy to stay in place because if everybody's arguing that Ryan Roger Athe said a racist term, right? Because they don't know his intent. You're not going to know the intent from a 30-second clip. And for me, it's not even intent and terms are different. So you can have an intent to use a slur, right? And that slur could have good intent or bad intent, depending. Like black people calling other black people N words, they don't have the intent of the same thing, but they're still saying a slur. The statement is still a slur. So when people say, or when I ask if a black person calls another black person a spear chucker, is that racist? And you say it's not racist because of the intent. It's like, no, the term is still a racist term. So for all intents and purposes, it is still racism. And
I
if
don't
it's not,
agree
then
with
it's
that.
hypocritical.
I don't agree
I
with that
think it's
because
hypocritical.
like I said, when my friends have a rapport with me, they can say certain words to me that they wouldn't say outside to strangers because of the implications. They're the same words, but the intent's different. So I think the intent changes everything.
I think that's crazy because terms have meanings. Terms have definitions, right? And we have acknowledged that certain words are slurs. and they're slurs like that for a reason. They're slurs against a certain group of people. Just because the same group of people says it doesn't mean that they're not being racist to that group of people. It's a slur. It's still a slur.
Yeah, but
And that,
slurs are
at
slang
least that's
words.
how people on Twitter are trying to make it seem. They're like, Ryan said this, and that is a slur, thus he must be canceled for it.
Yeah, but
But if
Hypnotic, I'm
Ryan
not.
was black, nobody would be clipping this right now. Nobody would be saying. And that's where I find the consistency lacking and the hypocrisy in Twitter.
Again, I cannot speak for Twitter. I'm talking like man to man here. This is how I mean, first of all, slurs are slang words, right? They change meaning over time as well. There's been slurs that are basically not even used anymore, and there's been words that used to be medical terms that are now seen as slurs, or not slurs, but like derogatory language, like retard, for example. Retard used to be a
Right.
medical term. They don't really use it that way anymore. Sometimes they do, but it's mostly not used anymore. But I'm of the belief that you can be speaking to somebody that you have a rapport with, and the intent makes it so that there's not going to be an issue with them saying it to you. And I believe you can be speaking to somebody that hates you, and they're looking at you. Like, for example, let's say, for example, I've got a white friend, and we've given him the N word pass, let's just say. But then I bump into somebody when I'm walking down the road, and it says N
Well,
word.
society says he's not allowed to say the N word, regardless of whether he has that or not. Just FYI, like if people caught your friend saying the N word to you, it doesn't matter if you're his friend. If they want to weaponize it, they can.
That's why it's called locker room talk. You don't do it with other people. You do it with people that you trust, that you know they're not going to throw you under the bus.
Right. But at the end of the day, anybody could be listening at any time.
That's true. They could be listening. Like what happened with Hulk Hogan, and he got outed, right? He was talking in private to his family, and then everyone heard it. But if he was in private talking to people, or if my friends were in private saying things to me, and it got out, then we'd have to explain ourselves. But Ryan was on a podcast talking to the world. He wasn't just talking to you guys. You guys were live. So I
Well,
think it
not the
completely.
world. I'm not that big. Not the
Your
world.
channel's pretty big. I've seen how many views your videos get. A lot of people watch your stuff, and your stream is very active. So even if people are not watching the time, your videos get viewed a lot. They get picked up by YouTubers bigger than yourself. So Ryan knows the position that he's in. So again, if I'm alone with my friends and we're saying certain things to each other, it's completely different than my friend coming on here and saying something like that. I'd say to him, "Are you an idiot, bro? What did you expect was going to happen? You're not talking to me. I'm your friend."
I just think it's a little inconsistent, to be honest with you. And I know you're not going to view it like that, and that's okay. I
Yeah,
understand. But I view it all as very inconsistent. I feel like people got especially butthurt on this one because of the optics, right? I think the optics played a lot into it. Where again, it's all perceived to be white people because you can't see my brown ass behind an avatar, and you can't see Grum's Asian ass behind his. So all you see is white people, and the subject of conversation for 40 minutes out of a 3-hour stream was Abubakah Salim, and the optics said that that was racist. That's how people took, and that's okay. Like I said, I don't care about the backlash. The backlash is allowed to happen. I just like to question it. I like to have a conversation around it, and I like to question the consistency of the backlash because we are now 113 episodes deep, God willing, if this one doesn't get deleted again, and you know nobody ever had a problem with any of the jokes prior, and it's because the optics weren't favorable.
yeah,
And I think the only reason why people care now to have the conversation is because the optics were favorable to bolster whatever conversation they're trying to have. That's
yeah,
how I view it. Because if and again, from like your standpoint and other people, other content creators who have made videos, if you guys really cared about this, this would be a consistent thing. And for you, it might be different because again, you don't watch by channel. But I know for a fact there are other people out there who watch the channel, who have seen the jokes, who have heard certain things, and never once cared. And then all of a sudden now they care and they're pretending like, oh, that's just too far. That's
mm,
just too whatever. And I look at them like, are you serious right now? So it's a big consistency issue for me. But again, I want to reiterate, you're allowed to have those thoughts. You're allowed to have that conversation. The backlash is allowed to exist. I just wish it was consistent, but it's not. That's just the truth of it.
yeah. Well, I will agree. I guess we'll agree to disagree. I hear where you're coming from. I don't want you to think I don't understand what you're saying. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say as well. But like for the sake of the conversation, if you don't mind, I wanted to move on to the last thing that I wanted to bring up that you mentioned in the video.
Well, actually, I have one other question. Did you watch last night's stream?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
What were you
okay.
talking about last night?
We were talking about a bunch of things, Dragon Age, Belguard, whatever. But Atreus, Kata, and Sheep City, and they all just like all kinds of spear jokes, all night. So I was just curious if you watched it, if you had a problem with any of that
No, I
that you
didn't.
saw.
I didn't see your stream from last night.
Okay, no,
Not
that's
that
fine.
part anyway.
I got you. In all actuality, I think we covered almost everything. I, hold on, I want to see something. I should have
Could I ask
timestamped
you a
it.
question?
Yeah, yeah, go
Whilst you're
ahead.
looking,
Let it rock.
so there was a comment that you made about cancel culture, and I think we were talking about Fresh Fit. I was trying to give them the example of how far they went and why
Hmm.
YouTube demonetized them. It sounded to me like you didn't know about the situation and you're making assumptions. I don't know if you're aware of what happened with them, but you made a comment
No.
following that, and you said, "I thought we were against cancel culture." When it seemed to me like you were trying to insinuate that I was like backtracking almost, and I wasn't being consistent. And I just was trying to understand why you were saying that.
Well, because demonetization is a form of cancel culture. Even if you don't get someone removed from the platform, to get their livelihoods taken away and advocate for it is a form of cancel culture, or at least saying, "Well, I understand," right? And I get it. And I don't know if you watched long enough because there was a point where I said, YouTube as a platform, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do to try to protect themselves, even if it's the most minuscule thing in the world. If any little bit of backlash, then they're gonna take it down, or do whatever they feel like they have to do. I found what you described to be funny. Again, I don't know if other people did. I don't know if you did. I don't think you did, but I found it to be funny the way, because it sounded like they were making fun of everybody. It sounded like they were making fun of white supremacists, black people, and the like. But again, I don't know the video. I don't know the situation exactly, and I made sure that was clear because I don't want people to thinking I watched it, because I didn't. I didn't watch
Yeah.
it. So
Well, not to go into it too much because I'm sure your stream chat doesn't care, but they weren't. This was like a very heated beef. This was as like heated as it gets on YouTube, and they weren't joking at all. And most people from like separate communities agreed that this was too much. But when I said that, and I said they deserved what they got, they it was not me saying that I am for cancel culture, but when people say cancel culture, that's because we have literally created a culture around canceling people for everything. I'm against that, but I'm not against removing people from a platform when they go too far. And in terms of going too far, yeah, you got to do something pretty extreme for me to say you probably shouldn't be on the platform anymore, but I'm not an absolutist when it comes to that. I think there's probably things we probably both agree that certain individuals shouldn't be doing on here. Like for you brought up
yeah,
the
like killing
naked
a
yoga.
fucking cat or something. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
people who post, like, that disgusting shit. But I think people dressing up as opposite sides of a racial conversation and making, what would you even call it? Like a display, or like, I don't know, what do they call that? Like an act or
yeah.
something. Like I don't think that's going too far, especially if they're making fun of both sides.
No,
I don't know.
what I'm trying to say is that canceling somebody in certain instances does not mean that you are for cancel culture. The reason they put a culture on the end of it is because it's gone out of control. But there's probably things we can both agree on here. That if you did on YouTube, they should get rid of your channel. That doesn't mean that you're for cancel culture though. Like if there was something, if someone you knew, for example, not gonna throw their name in there to like get this clipped or something. But if they did something with children, for example, you would say, this person doesn't need to be anymore. That's a step too far. Cancel them. Like cancel their monetization, get them off. I don't think that's for cancel culture though.
Right, but that's an ideology thing, right? Versus a violence or assault kind of a thing, right? Like when I say certain things don't belong on YouTube, I think a lot of it has to do with like violence or assault. So like killing animals. I know some weird fucking content creators, they put out videos like that and they don't show it, but they kind of do, and
Mm.
it's obviously like violent and nasty, and it shouldn't be on there. Or people doing things with kids, obviously that should not be on there either, and that's violence and that's assault. But that's actual crimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like real crimes. Having a joke and being in a studio dressed up as two opposite racial sides and making fun of each other, I don't think that's something worth being canceled over or losing your monetization over. I just don't. I think it's a subjective thing. People looking at it, some people will find offense, some people will laugh, but ultimately that's just what it is. A crime is something totally different though. That's that's
I
that's
was
where
just
I'm like, all
using
right,
an
well,
extreme to
yeah,
make
yeah, yeah,
my
I get
point.
it.
But
I get it.
I think if you look into the whole Fresh and Fit drama, I don't know if you'll change your mind. It was definitely not a joke. Their situation was way over the top. But I mean, obviously, you can look at that in your own time and come to your own conclusions. But Yeah, I was just trying to make the point that I think there are things that you can cancel people over. I'm not completely against canceling people. I'm just against the whole culture that's been created around it, where you even your situation where we disagreed. I would never push for your cancellation, or even Ryan's. I don't think those things are worth canceling you over. I just think it's worth challenging you over.
Right. That's perfectly fine. But again, I don't view taking criminals off of YouTube. And again, I'm using the extremes as well. I don't because that's the only thing I really view taking off of YouTube for. I don't view taking criminals off of YouTube as cancel culture. I just think it's you're a criminal. Like you're doing criminal acts. You should not be on YouTube doing that. You should be locked up or whatever the case may be. So I don't view that as canceling someone. Canceling someone for me is when your ideology you feel is superior, and thus when you see someone who has a different ideology than you want to find any way to remove them from the platform because you don't like what they said. That's really what it is, and that is where I can't agree with cancellation. I just can't, you
What
know.
would you
If
say if, let's say, random person, right? I'm not going to put someone's name to it, started to drum up a campaign on YouTube to try and dox you in particular, or try to hurt your family, or like we're radicalizing people to come to you. Like that's a form of speech, right? But if they
Yeah,
were
and
doing it,
I would tell them good luck.
I think YouTube would be within their rights to get that person off the platform, though. I mean, they're trying to hurt you and your family. That falls under speech. I don't know if you want to call it hate speech or not. I don't know where you sit on that, but I think those
I think it
situations
would
are.
be classified as uh, violent speech. Violent. I'm trying to remember their exact policy. They have something against like targeted violent speech. Like I don't know if that's what it's called, but you know, it would have to be provable. Basically, like it would have to be. They said my name,
Hmm.
you know, and they said that they want to hurt me, not that I should be or I could be or whatever, not the implied stuff because YouTube doesn't care about the implied stuff. It has to be direct,
Yeah.
and even then, it'll probably just result in a deleted video, truthfully. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think you should
and doxing
go.
is a crime, right? So we're back to criminal offenses. So that's it's a crime.
Yeah. Well, I was just using the extremes just to make the point, but I'm not against what you're saying. I'm not. I wouldn't cancel people for an ideology, and I certainly wouldn't cancel you guys for the things that happened recently. I just, like I said, I just didn't like it. I made a video on it. That was all it was.
Yeah, no, I get it. And again, we go back to the fact that those are crimes, even doxing, and I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Retaliation is even considered a crime too in some aspects. So
Mm.
it just depends on what we're talking about. But yeah, for me, canceling people, yeah, I'm not for it. There is so many people online that disagree with me in all facets, and that's perfectly fine. I've talked with them, some of them anyway, the ones that are willing to have a conversation. Which, by the way, thank you for being willing to have a conversation. Too many people are fucking pussy and can't have a conversation, so I appreciate it. But yeah, most people would try to cancel me just because they don't like what I have to say. So that I can never get behind, and that goes for anybody, even Alyssa Mercante. I would never want her canceled. I
Yeah.
think she's fucking retarded, but I would never want it canceled. So,
Yeah, I'm not
um,
for that. I spoke to some people after my discussion with Smash JT and Ryan, and they seemed to be under the impression that I wanted to cancel everybody, and I was just like, I don't know where people got that from, but yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up.
well, see, it's interesting though because the way that you portrayed yourself in the video, people are taking that for a multitude of different things, right?
Mm.
And you have to defend yourself in another video and explain your thought processes and whatnot. Um, but that's just kind of how it works, right? It's the same thing here. People saw a 30-second clip, took it for what they thought it was, but instead of giving anybody the opportunity to I guess talk about it or whatever, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. They didn't care. They didn't care to hear the the explanation. Just like I'm sure most people in your comments probably didn't care to hear your explanation, right? So it's interesting to see it kind of happen on two different sides for two different reasons. But that's just how it goes, and you kind of have to ride with it. And that's why I don't know if Ryan was saying again the whole like he doesn't apologize thing. I think what he was trying to say in that regard, and again I can't speak for him, but I'm just how I took it is that he's only going to apologize if he genuinely feels like he did something wrong. And I feel the same way too. I would never apologize unless I genuinely feel like I did something wrong because all you're doing is giving people who are already going to weaponize everything you were going to say anyway more ammo to use against you. They don't give a fuck that you said something racist. They don't care because they were already trying to get you anyway. They don't give a fuck.
Can I ask you
And
a
if you
question
didn't
then?
say it, they would have made it up anyway. Go ahead.
if you did something wrong, but your apology was going to give them ammunition, but you still felt like you did something wrong, would you apologize?
If I genuinely felt like I did something wrong, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get out of Ryan because he was saying that
Yeah.
he wouldn't.
Yeah, no. If I genuinely actually felt like I did something wrong, and me, not oh, I was influenced by others like fucking Asmongold or anything like that. No, if I actually felt like I did something wrong, I'd man up and I'd say sorry and I'd own it. But at the end of the day, like I don't think Ryan actually felt like he did something wrong, and people are trying to peer pressure him into making him think that he did. And I'm not just talking about you, just in general. That's what people are trying to do. And the man is saying, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. And then that's where the conversation says, well, okay, we'll never apologize because these motherfuckers don't deserve it anyway.
Yeah, I
Truthfully.
didn't try to pressure him into saying sorry. I told him that I don't care what he does going forward. I cared about it in the situation in the moment. That's why I did the reaction. As for an apology, I couldn't. I don't. His even if he apologized, I just shrug my shoulders. I don't really care. So I wasn't trying to pressure him into it. I was just trying to work out because he seemed very against. He said it as an absolute. So that's why I was a bit like he kept on mentioning that you're weak to apologize, and I found that weird. It seemed more like it was performative. I don't think it's weak to apologize for something. So that's what I was trying to get out of him.
I guess it depends on the context, which is what I said before, you know. And for him, and again, I don't know if he just didn't explain it right, or maybe he is speaking in absolutes. I can't speak for Ryan. I'm not Ryan.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, for me personally, unless I felt like I actually did something wrong, I'm not apologizing. I don't give a fuck who gets mad. Don't care. It's the internet. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So
I also wanted to mention that I got a lot of comments about Smash JT. People asking me why I'm friends with him, because of him defending Ryan. But I don't have a problem with someone defending their boy. Like I get it. Like he said that he's tight with you guys. So I get someone trying to defend their friend. I still think Ryan's in the wrong, but I respect Smash JT trying to defend his boy. I don't agree with Ryan at all. Anything he said, I don't like him either. But I'm not.
I don't expect you to be honest with you. I,
Yeah,
I, I
I'm
don't.
not. A lot of people were asking me to not speak to Smash following that, but I said to them that I get it. You defend your boys, but I just wanted to put that out there for. I know people are watching from my community, but me and Smash are cool. There's no beef there. I get why he defended Ryan, even though I'm against him.
Right. Well, I do find it interesting that people were telling you not to speak to Smash JT after that. I wonder why that is.
People telling Smash not to speak to me as well. I saw comments saying that I can't remember. They called me some funny name, but they were telling Smash not to speak to me. I think someone said that I'm like a spy from SBI or something. And someone else said something else like, "Oh, Michael's gonna throw you under the bus." But
Hmm,
yeah, no, it came from both sides. I saw people saying stuff to Smash and people were saying stuff to me.
fair enough. So I got one last question for you, and I hope you answer this honestly,
Yeah.
because it's something that I genuinely want to like understand. Um, you heard this joke, you got upset over it, or at least you had questions about it. My question to you is: did you get mad that you heard a racist joke, or did you get mad over the fact that you heard a joke about a black person?
I got mad at the fact that whenever I tune into your stream, I perceived you guys to be pushing back against DEI, and when I saw that, and then I saw uh, the amount of times it was going on, coupled with the fact that the man's dad passed away, all of it culminated in me getting annoyed by it. If it didn't have to be against a
But
black
what?
person, it could have been against a Puerto Rican person, it could have been against an Indian person. I'm not full black, I'm half Greek, so it could have been against a Greek person. It wasn't because it was a black person, it was a culmination of things. Um, Not to bring Sammy's name up, because Sammy reached out to me personally and apologized, and I didn't want to like throw him under the bus, but it was it was the entire thing. Watching it, I was like, this seems ridiculous. Like the man's dead. He's making racist jokes. This conversation's going nowhere. By no fault of your own. This was entirely at Ryan. Um, but that's what annoyed me. It was the whole thing.
Right, but again, I I want to kind of focus on the question because I don't know what jokes or anything have to do with us talking about DEI. Like I talk about DEI every day. I do 3 videos a day, 7 days a week. I have a live stream, 2 live streams every day, one gaming, one like Hypnocast or Saturday Night Hypnosis,
Mm.
like the DEI conversation, that has nothing to do with the fact, we can make jokes and still talk about DEI. I don't
You
think it
can.
invalidates what we're talking about at all, on a daily basis. So
It
we're
does to some people.
okay, but that's their prerogative. That's their issue. And chances are those people probably advocate for DEI hiring practices anyway.
Well, I don't. And
Most
I
of them.
still felt like the conversation ended up falling flat.
And that's okay. A conversation can fall flat, but again, it's still moved forward. Right? It's not like Ryan made that stupid joke and then the entire stream just like we just stopped and kept doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down.
Mm.
Ryan, what was that? What'd you say again? Can you say that again? Say it
Yeah.
again. Like conversation still went forward. So
So are you asking me, would I have gotten angry if this wasn't a black person?
essentially, in a way, like
Uh,
would it have been the same response?
yeah, it would have been the same response. If you took the fact that he was black out of it, but everything else remained the same, yeah, it would have been the exact same response. If you spoke about
Regardless of
Greek people and it was a Greek guy talking and you made comments about Greek people, I don't know if you know any Greek slurs, but I would have reacted the same way. If it was if it was Colombians, because my family are Colombian as well, I would have said the same thing. So yeah,
I got
him being black is. I know that this has turned into like a black and white thing for a lot of people online, but I know you've seen some of my content. I know some of your colleagues have. You know full well that I don't lean into all of that race stuff. If it doesn't matter who it is, which is why I call out
right.
SBI for being racist towards white people.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just can't shake that feeling, and maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just taking things the wrong way. I guess I'll look at it again from a different perspective to try to be a little more understanding. But it just seems to me the reaction in general, yourself included, because again, I'm being honest, it just seems like this was more of a, oh wow, they're saying this about a black guy. I'm gonna jump on this. I'm gonna have my words and I'm gonna
Hmm.
do whatever. Because again, I don't care, bro. Make all the fucking videos you want. I hope I got you some views, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But my thing is, like, it just seems like because it was about a black guy that suddenly everybody wanted to get angry.
Are you lumping me in with other black creators that made those responses?
Yeah, I did. That's why I said. I said even you is. I feel that's how I feel. Yeah,
But
and I
given the
understand you've
content
made
that I've,
videos.
yeah,
Hold on, no, I understand that you've made videos defending white people against racism. I totally get that, and I'm not saying that you haven't, but I just can't shake the feeling. That's what I'm saying, and I maybe I have to look at it again in a different way, different aspect, and I will, because again, I'm all for looking at things a second time and trying to get a different understanding if there is one to have, but I can't shake the feeling that the response wouldn't have been the same. I
yeah.
just don't. And maybe from you would have, but the grand scheme of things, I just don't. I don't feel like the response would have been the same with equal fervor, equal upset, equal anger. I don't feel that at all. I just don't.
I think you don't feel that because of the like generalizing the entire conversation, maybe from other creators you've seen, and because I'm also part black, it would be easy to throw me in there. But my content has been in that regard, it's I've been fair across all races. I've made a lot of videos about white people and people shouldn't speak down to them just because they're white. We both know that the people have this like idea that you can be racist to white people and that's a systemic thing.
Right.
So I think if
But
you
did you, but
take
you but did you have the same level of fervor though? Like the
yeah,
same
yeah,
level of
100%.
like upset nature?
Yeah, if you go on my channel and type in Sweet Baby Inc., you can find the videos. Like there's one in particular that's got a picture of Liu Kang and Shang Tsung on it, and it's about Sweet Baby Inc. And in there, I've highlighted all the racist things they've said, and that you can't talk to white people like that because they're human beings. So my stance with regards to this is the same. If anything, I was more harsh with them, but I'm not going to get a response out of them. I appreciate you having me on, but I haven't treated you guys any differently to anyone else that I did.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I just that's just how I feel about the situation. You being part black's got nothing fuck all to do with it. I just feel like people content because I've called out other content creators, by the way, who aren't black, who have said certain things that you have also said, and other black content creators have said, but I don't give a fuck about your skin color. A lot of you guys are acting in a way that I just don't see consistent. But okay, I will look at your content and try to see a different light. I'll be
Mm,
willing to do that. That's I'll tell the chat that right now. I'll be
yeah,
willing to look at it. But again, you being part black, fuck all to do with me. Don't care.
yeah. I do think like people are going to defend their own as well, though. I think that's just normal in like in day-to-day life. It's not something that I tend to do because of part of different cultures and whatever, but
Right.
that's normal for people to want to defend their
So
own.
isn't that going back to what I said though? Like, did you get angry over this because it was just a racist joke, or did you get angry at this because it was particularly about a black man? And you saying that people naturally defend people like themselves.
Mm.
That kind of goes into what I was saying.
I'm not talking
How
about
people are
myself though.
okay.
I'm
I
not.
thought you
I'm
were.
just
Sorry,
talking
you had mentioned that. Okay.
in life in general, right? If you go into a community of a certain type of people and you go after someone, they protect their own community, right? So I'm not talking about me specifically, but that's how life works, right? And people see one of their own. Like if you made videos attacking women, yeah, you're probably gonna get a lot of women coming after you. So I'm not surprised that people were doing that, but it's not why I did it.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, again, you can only speak for yourself, and I can only ask you. So we got our answer, and that's basically it. Um, I'm essentially out of questions. I think, ironically, a lot of the stuff you had asked of me, I was going to ask anyway,
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. Was there anything else you wanted to ask of me before I catch up on super chats and finish out the stream?
Yeah, just when Ryan said to me that well, from what I took from what he said, that this is a lot of this is a joke to him. For you, like, is this whole when you're making videos and you're doing these streams? I know that like I've seen your stream opening, the way you interact with your stream, that you're an entertainer. But when I watch your streams, I get the impression that you do take what's happening in pop culture somewhat seriously. But I just wanted to know for future reference, is this entire thing just a bit of a laugh and a joke to you, or do you actually believe there's something serious going on?
Are you trying to ask me if I believe what I talk about on a daily basis?
Yeah,
Why would you
essentially.
ask that? Why would you not believe that I didn't?
Because I believed that of Ryan until he said that. So that's why I'm asking you. Because you did make loads of comments saying that it's just a joke, it's just a joke. And I was starting to get the sense that is this entire thing just for shits and giggles?
So this is the issue that I have with a lot of content creators, because there's people out there that think like that.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting as to why that is, why people think, listen, I am an entertainer at the end of the day.
Mm,
Okay. My job is to make sure that this chat is having the best time that they possibly can while they're giving me their 2 hours of time, because I respect their time. But at the end of the day, what I talk about on a daily basis, I'm 100% serious about. Otherwise, I wouldn't be getting halfway angry over the shit that I talk about on a daily basis, especially when it comes to people of color, as they like to call us, because they like to weaponize us and utilize us for the bullshit that they do every single day. So yeah, I'm 100% fucking serious about it, but I also like to sit here and joke and entertain and laugh and look at the stupidity of life, because a lot of things are just stupid and funny, and I like to absolutely make fun of it all. But just because I like to laugh and entertain people, I am still authentic. Entertainment and authenticity are not tied between the two,
mm-hmm.
right? Like you can be authentic and still be entertaining. They're not separate, is what I'm trying to say. You can be both.
Yeah.
So that's what I am. When I talk about these things, I talk about it in a way that's both informative as much as I can be and entertaining as much as I can be. But this is the same conversations that I was having in life prior to doing YouTube. And by the way, I don't know if you feel this way, but a lot of people feel this way because it always ties down to money for a lot of people. Every time I talk to content creators who have a differing opinion of me, they always want to bring up the super chats, the views, the revenue, and the blah, blah, blah. I was doing this shit for 2 years for free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was doing it for free. I wasn't monetized. And when I was monetized, I was getting barely anything. And it was me who was staying up 7 days a week after work, working 12 to 14 hours a day, making sure that I filmed, edited, title tag, thumbnailed my videos myself, and hosted a stream on Saturday every day for 2 years in a row. So yeah, I am fucking serious about it. Absolutely.
All
I
right.
take this shit real serious.
Yeah, I thought I'd just ask, given what's happened. But if you take it serious, take it serious. I think
Right, but
everybody else is in the same
I
boat.
don't I don't I don't see how what happened would translate or correlate into, do I take this or not take this seriously?
Because of the way you were responding to a lot of the comments that I made, it didn't feel like you were taking them seriously. It felt like it was more like a joke, or that this entire situation was a joke, or like you, especially because you called this video, I think you've called this the modern audience video. I don't know if you're talking about lurkers in your chat or if you're talking about me, but that if you're talking about me, that would be misrepresenting the situation as well.
No, I'm talking about Twitter. The conversation around everything, because me and you, we're gonna talk about things that happened based off that video. So yeah, it's to get the modern audience in this chat, absolutely.
Okay,
And by
yeah.
the modern audience, I just mean Twitter. So
Yeah, I thought I'd just clarify. I mean, it's just I saw you took offense to me asking about the video being taken down to smash JT and Ryan. But I always ask questions just to get clarification. I didn't call you a liar when you said the stream had gotten taken down. I said that you could very well be lying. And the reason I said that is that every time I have made comments at people affiliated to Sweet Baby Inc., they always make out that they're getting death threats, and yet I see no proof of it. Now, fair enough to you, you did show proof, but I don't think I was wrong in asking that question.
yeah, at the end of the day, I have no reason to lie. Anytime I've ever said anything, I provided proof. I just didn't do it at the time because I just didn't. I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it was necessary.
Mm.
Because people know when I talk about these things that this is just the truth of it. This is what's happening. And if I am joking around, if I'm fucking around, I will obviously drop hints and tell people like I did at the beginning of that stream where I trolled everybody saying this is the last stream and blah 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 whatever. That's like the one time I ever fucking did that. But still, it's one of those things where yeah, no, I have no reason to lie, and I think that to question the authenticity of what I'm doing, or at least make it seem as if, am I being genuine about what I'm talking about? I just don't see how that can correlate between the two. Maybe you do, but I don't. I don't see how that could correlate. I think the reason why the channel's growing the way it is because of the authenticity, whether good or bad. And again, I've said I'm very aggressive, and some people like that, some people don't, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, you're going to get my real thoughts. You're going to get the real me, even if I'm behind an avatar. Honestly, most people feel like they're just talking to the real me with or without the picture, which
Yeah.
is exactly what it's supposed to be because that's what it is.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think it's the same way you question me on whether I would be annoyed with him being black or not. I think it's fair
yeah,
because we don't know each other, right? I didn't mean it in an
right.
offensive way. Like this is our first interaction, but the same way that they lie about death threats constantly. For me, I'm like I'll treat everyone the same. We have no rapport outside of this. You've been very like polite and generous towards me, like everything, but we still don't know each other. So I thought it was fair to question it the same way you questioned me.
Yeah, of course. And again, you're allowed to ask whatever you want. I'll never take that away from you. So that's
Yeah,
where it goes.
that's fair.
So is that the last question you got for me?
Yeah, I don't think anything else is really worth going over. I know you want to do your waifu stuff. So yeah, that's really it. I don't think there's any need to go further with this conversation surrounding this whole topic.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I appreciate you at least having the conversation with me. I think it was definitely good to have. And people are gonna have their opinions, and that's okay. Some people on your channel will have their opinions. Some people on my channel will have their opinions, but ultimately, that's not what it's about. I wanted to speak to you. You wanted to speak to me, and that's it. That's what we're doing, and just happens to be live. So that's all. But again, I thank you. I genuinely do. I thank you for having a conversation with me, and you are welcome on SNH if you ever want to come on. It is not a racist show, contrary to popular belief, and I think well, you don't like Ryan, so maybe not, but still, we can figure something out and work it out. But I appreciate it regardless.
Yeah, if something ever comes up and I wanted to ask you guys about it, then I know your stream chat doesn't like me very much. I saw the comments yesterday, but
That's okay though. That's
yeah,
it's
it's
listen.
fine. Obviously, I want you. I like you. They love your show. I've seen their comments. I don't really want to ruin any of that. Obviously, my energy is very different to you guys. I'm a very low energy person. So if I have
I'm
something to
very
talk to
high
you about,
energy.
yeah, I know you're high energy. I'm very low energy. So like I'm not kind of person that wiles out online or shouts or anything. So I mean, if there's
Yeah.
anything that I wanted to speak to you about, I'll just message you on Twitter. We've got each other's details.
Absolutely, man. Sounds good. So again, tell everybody where if you want to shout your channel out, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, it's Mike Holler. And it's just mostly fighting game stuff on there. Every now and then this sort of stuff happens, but yeah,
All right, fair enough, man. Mike, thank you again for having a conversation with me, and we'll talk again soon.
no worries, bro. Cheers.